Rented studio, I'm filming a podcast and I forgot to press record button on audio recorder. Exposure, complete mess. And my client in the meantime, channeling spirits. I would call that project the curse of Velvia. I got a client, they say, okay, we want to film a podcast. We will film in 2 different locations. So they wanted to film one speaker in one country, another speaker in another country. Just find a more or less similar studios and try to film it in a way so later you can cut it together so it would look like it's just one studio and they together in one studio. I asked some classic questions. I also asked them what is a podcast about, and they kind of didn't say anything about it. Kind of skipped that question. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. My work will be still the same. So I come to the studio, client arrived at the studio. We had a Zoom call with the second speaker. I talked with their videographer, so we aligned angles. And then we were like, okay, everyone is ready, let's start. I put the record button, and then the speaker start to draw circles on the paper and with the closed eyes and just say random things. And I was like, what's going on? After 1 minute, I realized that I forgot to press record button on audio recorder. So I was recording audio in camera, but didn't record audio into studio microphone. So I pressed the record button, and since that thing were happening where she was drawing circles and talking stuff, I was like, I better not interrupt it. Who knows what will happen? And after we finished, I came home and I thought, okay, there's just one small problem with the audio, it should be good. And then when I upload the files to the computer, I realized that there is a big problem with exposure. Like, it's so over contrasted, and the skin tone of the speaker is orange, like carrot. And I really couldn't understand what's going on, because even in the studio, when we were setting the light, I already felt that something off, like on my monitor, because I had a camera monitor, I had a camcorder, and I had an external monitor. On all 3 monitors, the exposure were different. And I wasn't able to understand what the problem, and even the person who was setting the light, when I was asking him to make it brighter, he was like, are you sure? Because he knows what is in his studio, what is okay light. I was like, yeah, just make it a little bit lighter, brighter. So, and only then at home I realized what happened. Because 1 or 2 days before the shooting, I was filming some art stuff, I don't even remember what. And I was experimenting with the camera Fujifilm LUTs. Like, I put some LUT, which called Velvia. For you, just to compare this how looks normal one, and this how it looks when Velvia LUT is on. So I recorded everything with the Velvia LUT, and I realized that this is a big problem, because it looked so dark and over contrasted. So eventually I sent it to the client, and that's the moment how I started to solve those problems, because I had 2 problems. Audio one, the first minute wasn't recording, and second thing is the overexposure, and the light was very dramatic. With the audio, what I did, I said, okay, listen, the first minute audio wasn't recording. Of course, I didn't say why, because I just forgot to press button. So I'm not focusing on this, I'm focusing, okay, that's what happened, and I focused on solution, what I did. Like, okay, the light first minute wasn't recording. I decided, it was my choice, I decided to not stop the podcast. I explained it with, with the reasons like, look, based on my experience, when people get interrupted in the first minutes of the podcast, the rest of the podcast turn into shit, because it starts like, oh, can we stop? Oh, I said something wrong. Oh, can we just retake? And I said, because of this, I decided to not interrupt, let it go with the flow, to keep the podcast natural. So I shifted the focus to my decision, my solution, like how I fixed the problem, not on the problem itself. And I just took the audio from the camera, I worked on it a little bit. It's still not as good as what was on the studio microphone, but still pretty decent. And the second problem with the light, because after I sent, they sent me back and they told me, okay, that's something wrong with the light. And I used I think the ancient old good excuse. I think anyone in the industry used it once or later, like early or later in their career. I said, it was planned like this. It's supposed to be like this. I planned to do it like this, and this is why it's like this. Definitely not because something went wrong, no. It was planned. So I said, okay, the podcast have a specific topic, and I wanted to make the light more kind of dramatic. And else I was like, since we gonna match two cameras with the color grading, I decided to make it more in a dark way. So the other camera, like for editor, it would be easier to match the brighter camera with the darker one. So he will just reduce the highlights and shadows, and it will be more easy to fit my color grading. It kind of works, but they still asked to add a little bit of light, and I did it, and eventually it worked well. Client remained satisfied, and they even hire me again later. And why I record this video, why I want to share this, because in the peak moment when I came home and I realized that I filmed everything with that Velvia light, the colors are completely off, skin tone is ugly, and also first minute of the audio I didn't record. And it seems so like a fail. I thought that, okay, like I ruined everything. And I remember I was like, okay, let's go to YouTube. Maybe I will find people like me with the same stories, and maybe I will feel a little bit better. I didn't find anything. I found some text stories. So I decided to film a YouTube video for people who might be in a similar situation, who may be fucked up their filming. And I even have the message, which I wish someone said to me when I was in the moment of fail, thinking that everything will be ruined. That sometimes you can even turn your fails into benefits by the way how you will present those fails. Because eventually it turned out that people liked my work and they were hiring me again. And if I would say to the client something like, oh, I'm so sorry, I did the mistake, maybe I can just bring you back your money, of course they would never hire me again. But instead of this, I was focusing on solutions. I pretended that everything that we have as an output was planned like this, it's supposed to be like this. and yeah, eventually it turns out very well. So if you fucked up the filmings, then it seems like there is nothing you can do with it. It's a fail. Think of it. Maybe you can do something with this.